McAllen Citizen League is a nonpartisan organization. Our duty, our responsibility, our charge, which we faithfully carry out, is to provide and bring information to this community. McAllen Citizen League does not endorse any candidates. We are here to provide you, the voter, with information so that you may have the information you need before you go to the poll. We hope that you find it interesting enough and important enough to share with your friends and your neighbors. Early voting, I believe, begins February 20th, so that's right around the corner. And so today, our informative candidate forum presentation is going to be moderated by our very own long-standing Citizen League member, Davis Rankin.
Yeah.
Davis has been a talk show host and news reporter in the Rio Grande Valley for a generation. Davis is on the air on the 956 Drive Home Show weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on KURV 710 AM. And you can count on Davis to be talking about the important news of the day and the important topics to our community of the day. So now we go to the candidates who have graciously accepted our invitations. So joining us today, we have Hidalgo County Sheriff Eddie Guerra. Judge Guerra? Sheriff Guerra? If you could take us to your We have Mr. Frank Guerrero, who is Hidalgo County Sheriff candidate. Mr. Guerrero, thank you for being here. We have Judge Sergio Valdez, incumbent, Judge of County Court of Law number 7. We have Ms. Lidia Elizondo, candidate for Judge of the County Court of Law number 7 of Hidalgo County. We have with us Judge Jesse Contreras, candidate for the 476 District Court of Hidalgo County. We're doing some initial staging. If you would kindly join us here, and then you will be moved up. Thank you, sir. And then we have Judge Nereida Lopez-Singleterry, candidate for the 406.
We'll go first to Mr. Guerra, and then tell us about yourself. Tell us about yourself. Make you do the hard work for that kind of work.
Well, first, I want to thank the McAllen Citizen League. I want to thank the McAllen Chamber for hosting this event. And I also want to thank the Hidalgo County voters for trusting me throughout my 3 terms as your sheriff and keeping our community safe. Hidalgo County has a very important decision to make. And my opponent has brought up a lot of accusations, and I just want to make sure that I want y'all to know that I welcome all inquiries to these false accusations. I want you to know that the truth will prevail. I especially want you to know that my integrity is intact and the other candidate is not. This office is about trust and integrity. Hidalgo County cannot trust my opponent. He manipulates facts. He casts doubts on the office that he wants to hold. He has stolen $3 million from his business partner and $1 million from his ailing father. And I have the proof right here, a statement from his own brothers, families that have known this man all of his life, and I just want to highlight some of the comments in this statement. Our brother, Frank Guerrero, is a con man. Our brother, Frank Guerrero, should not be trusted. We have agreed to release this joint statement to inform the people of Hidalgo County and part members of our, I'll run out of time, but I think this statement has been passed out and you have it in front of you. Thank you.
If time runs out, then finish your sentence, you can come back to it. We have a little bit of time for explanation. Mr. Guerrero, tell us about yourself, and I assume you want to reply to what you said.
It's okay. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate the time to get to know us and ask questions. And we hope to get an opportunity to answer your questions. I want to thank my mother for being here. One of my sons is here, and part of our team is here. I want to thank them for each and every one of you for coming and the interest in not only our race, but every race that's going on. And you do have an important decision to make come Tuesday. I want you to envision the times that you've heard getting pulled over, or any contact you might have had with law enforcement officers. Or when you turn on the TV and you see the news of a mass shooting like we had in November of 2023 in Edinburgh, or the amount of fatalities that we have based on DWI related on the hands of drunk drivers. The animals that are being mistreated, the cruelty to the animals, that's an atrocious treatment to them. When you hear the deputies not making ends meet, having to work extra hours because they don't get paid enough. When you hear of the millions of dollars being taken to Quincy County for a short-term solution, when you hear of the corruption that's actually going on at the sheriff's office. I want you to envision a deputy that comes up to you, smiling, pulls you over, is there to educate you. I want you to envision having a rapid response team that's prepared to respond to an emergency. I want you to envision a deputy getting to a call where the school shooting or any mass incident shooting is coming, and that deputy is ready and prepared. My name is Frank Guerrero, and I am the person who's going to lead that sheriff's office to provide the services you require.
Let me bring up the popping in the microphone. Back off a little bit and raise your voice. You're too close, and that makes popping. Let me ask you this before we go back to Mr. Guerra. Would you like to respond to the charge from your brothers? He says he can back this up, that you stole $3 million, I guess, from them and $1 million from your father.
Well, my mother's here, and you know what? The difference between he and I don't respond to stuff that are unproven. I mean, he wants to say the comments. I mean, last time he used my ex-wife, now he's using my brothers. I mean, that's okay. Last time, for those of you who don't know, I think it was one of these forums, he used my ex-wife that has outstanding warrants, and he pulled them over her head and used her to talk bad about me. So when he offered my brothers, or whether he did talk to my brothers, or what cons I did. One of my brothers did tell me, hey, a reporter called me. A reporter called me and said, hey, I know your friend Frank Guerrero, because that brother happens to be, on my mother's side, has a different last name. And we laughed it off, and he said, well, yeah, we don't know about his background or whatnot. And he goes, well, you must not be a very good reporter, because I'm his brother. So, I mean, that's okay. They want to dig into lies and everything else. I hope he can prove it. As a matter of fact, he's a sheriff. He could arrest me right now, I guess. I mean, if he has the proof, then he could arrest me right now. But that's okay. My mother's here. My son is here. I'm proud for the office that I'm running. And again, unlike, his decisions that he's made, I'm not using taxpayers' money. I'm not stealing from the taxpayers. I'm not taking money from people being convicted of federal crimes. So, again, I'm not going to respond directly to accusations like that.
Thank you very much. Mr. Guerra, before I get to the question, has there been any legal action about the allegedly stolen money, number one? And then number two, after you're done with that, what's the biggest challenge running the sheriff's office in Idaho County?
Well, I'll address the legal action. My opponent has a current case in Harris County with his ex-partner, where he stole over $3 million on a jail that he ran in New York that went bankrupt. And then his brothers were kindly enough to send me the audit that was done by the country of Nicaragua, where it has all the facts where he stole over $1 million from his own ailing father. Currently, the most challenging issue that we have, of course, is expanding our current capacity at our jail. Myself, along with the county government, has found a solution, a very, very economical solution for the taxpayer of this county, where we went and leased a facility in Willacy County that will ultimately end up saving the taxpayers millions of dollars.
Could you explain why it'll save millions of dollars? You've got the transportation costs, and why didn't you build a bigger jail here?
So current construction of a brand new jail is about $200,000 per bed. $200,000. We went out and we solicited architecture firms, engineering firms to build, to add on the existing facility there in Hidalgo County, and that current cost is $360 million. At that, and we're still competing with the 150 plus county courthouse. So at this point, county government does not want to go to the taxpayers and raise taxes. So the solution was a cheaper option in renting and leasing the facility that's already built. As a matter of fact, the organization that oversees jail standards was the one that recommended that we move into this, look at the option of leasing this facility.
Mr. Guerrero, would you care to comment about the jail situation, number one? And number two, what do you see as the biggest challenges with the sheriff?
Absolutely. Let's start with the quickest, cheapest solution was to take $200 million of your tax dollars to another county. And he's saying it's going to cost over $300,000, whatever he said, $300 million to build the jail. The facility itself, 20 years ago, cost $37 million with the acquisition of the land itself. The building, the infrastructure is there. The cost per square footage today is $333 per square foot for a certified jail. It would cost between $55 to $60 million to actually expand the jail. That's what we really need to be doing. When you're thinking $200 million to lease a facility that's not ours, you have to renovate it for $20 million that they just transferred to the sheriff's account. 150 jobs being taken to Willacy County, and that's the solution. When the population is going to be 1 million people in the next 6 years, we're going to need a 2,000 person facility here anyway. So we're going to spend $200 million to spend another $200 million in 6 years. Does that make sense to you?
Let me ask Mr. Guerrero. Everybody wants to get more money. Even the people who got all the money want more money. What's a deputy? Explain how deputies are paid, what they get paid, what's the starting deputy get paid, and why don't you just raise their pay?
So, retention and recruitment continues to be a challenge for all law enforcement, whether it be federal, state, county, and local. This is a problem that is affecting all of our law enforcement agencies. We were lucky that we provided a cost analysis of what our deputies are making compared to what the local PDs are making, and luckily the county government did raise some of our law enforcement, and we will work on detention on this next budget cycle. So we're very, very competitive currently in the occupation of sheriff deputy versus a police officer.
Mr. Guerrero, follow up on that. On your Facebook page or your website, you said you want to restore trust in the sheriff's department. If you could address that, how do you know there's not trust in the sheriff's department? Number one, and number two, what about pay?
Okay, well, I mean, it starts with his own deputies don't trust him, don't believe him, the county doesn't trust him, don't believe him. I talked about when you picture a deputy coming to your home or answering a phone call, being prepared. That's what I'm looking to provide them, the leadership and guidance and the structure. Yes, pay is important, but when you're not excited to go to work, when you don't want to, you put on a uniform, you're expected to be ready to answer any call for service. But when you got the political backlash, when you have the inability to promote, the inability to pay your own bills, how can you expect that person to go out and provide a good service? I am pro-collective bargaining agreement. I've made it very clear that I'm going to fight for them, stand up for them, work alongside of them. And yes, instead of wasting $200 million of your tax dollars, where our taxes did go up because of that expense, I'm going to focus our attention on providing better pay, better benefits, better equipment to our deputies so they can in turn provide a better service to you. That's my goal. That's what they're asking for. That's what they're craving for. And I'm the person who's going to deliver that for them.
One more question about pay to Mr. Guerra. The microphone goes off and you're not talking into it. You get money to run, the sheriff gets money to run the sheriff's department from the commissioner's court. It's voted, it's put in the budget. How do you get those guys to raise pay? What do they tell you when you're behind closed doors? You're not going to tell anybody. What do you tell them? What do they tell you? And why don't they give you more money?
So, again, I'm the sheriff. I'm not the county judge or the commissioners. They are the ones that control the budget for every office in county government. I have currently a very, very good working relationship with our county judge and each of our 4 commissioners. Once they were given the study on what my deputies make versus the other piece of the agencies that we have to compete with, we are now not the top, but we're not the lowest. You also have to factor that all the deputies have a take-home unit, and that is a savings to the officer anywhere between $7,000 to $10,000 a year, depending on where they're located in their county, or where they live in their county.
Would you like to follow up on that?
Well, again, I'm not satisfied, and I'm looking to lead some of the best men and women of the sheriff's office, and then being in the middle. And I wanted to be one of the highest paid. I understand. I'm very familiar with the budgetary constraints. I have managed the business. You know, I know what it is to hire and retain employees. They are the 9th, 10th lowest paid out of 22 cities in Hidalgo County. We're the largest agency south of San Antonio, south of Houston. Yet we have school districts, police departments like Donna PD getting paid more than we are. How do you expect these individuals to go out there and actually want to perform? They can't. The studies that he's talking about, the relationship that he has with the commissioners, well, if he has such a good relationship, why doesn't he fight harder for better pay? Why doesn't he stand up like he did for the jail, get them to transfer $200 million to his account, to the sheriff's account? Why does he do the same for the deputies? We're talking about deputy pay. Do the same for them. I will do it for them. I will put them in the forefront, and I promise you that they're going to be happier, better served, working under my leadership and nobody else's.
We have time for one more question and then the closing remarks. I want to tell you, immigration it's all over the news. Mr. Garrett, what is the immigration picture as you see it here in terms of people coming through? Are they dangerous? Are they destroying property? Are they a problem for the sheriff's department?
So, since 2014, Hidalgo County has been the epicenter of the non-citizens coming across in the Rio Grande Valley sector of the United States Border Patrol. Currently today, we're number 4. So we are not seeing the numbers that we have been seeing in the past. The non-citizens that are coming across in this country do not stay in this county. They end up in urban communities throughout America. The crime associated with illegal immigration we have, and we've always had, is human smuggling, trafficking, drugs, and when we have a large presence of these people coming across the border, it uses up the resources of our federal partners, and our state and locals have to pick up the slack, and that is where it hurts me as the sheriff, having to do a federal job.
Mr. Guerrero?
You know, it's not only an immigration issue, but it's also a humanitarian issue. We have folks that are living, walking, and need the police services. They usually live in the colonias that depend on the police services that the sheriff's office provides. They live in Hidalgo County. Immigration is a worldwide problem, a national issue. And again, the effect that it has on us, it is something that we need to worry about. But when you're going around claiming that we're the safest county, there's no crime, there's less resources. The sheriff's office receives about $6 million a year to fight the immigration issue. Yet they only see the deputies up in the north end protecting certain areas, certain counties, certain specific ranches up in the north end of the county. You don't see them along the border. How many arrests has the sheriff's office made for human smuggling cases? 0. He'll pass on the buck to the Border Patrol or state partners. What happens when DPS and the governor changes direction, moves our troopers from the border. Where's our crime looking now? How is our communities going to look now when they leave?
I thought of another question for you, Mr. Guerra. The legislature passed, I think it's Senate Bill 4, which allows local and state law enforcement to arrest people who are here unlawfully and take them, I'm not sure whether it's directly to a magistrate or put them in jail. How are you going to handle that?
Well, so on that bill, that is a peace officer that actually sees an individual crossing the river. He has the authority to take him and place him in our county, or take him before a judge and place him in the county jail. Personally, I think that law will not stand the Supreme Court challenge. If it does go into effect, when I'm the sheriff, I'm going to advise a peace officer that does that to make sure that they go before a magistrate and they have the magistrate order to arrest that individual and put him in the county jail.
Mr. Guerrero?
The big issue with that, the SB4, which the law got passed but not in effect yet, is what is it doing to the victims of crimes, the witnesses of crime? Just imagine a crime occurring, a mass shooting occur, and a person does not have the documents to be in this country. With the threat of arrest, do you think they're going to come forward? Do you think they're going to identify the suspect or the shooter? They're not going to. It's the way you apply the law, and it goes to, again, how do you interact with the community, building trust with the community. I am a person that goes out with the community, is engaging with the community, to build trust with the community so they can understand that those laws are in place, how they're applied is what's going to matter. And I'm going to make sure, as the sheriff of this county, the victims and the witnesses understand that the laws are there to protect them just as much as it is to shield them from any danger. Everybody who lives in Hidalgo County, this is Mills, Mike.
It's you need to back up a little bit.
Anybody in Hidalgo County who lives, plays, or works in Hidalgo County needs to be afforded the protections of our laws. And that's what my duties as sheriff is going to be.
Final statements, Mr. Guerra?
Again, I want to thank the McAllen Citizen League for hosting this event in the chamber. And I want to reiterate that, first of all, I am a man of integrity, trust, solutions, and more importantly, safety about keeping our community safe. Never in my 61 years of life has my integrity ever been questioned. I run my family business. I am the executor of my father's estate. I am the trustee of my great-grandparents' minerals that I oversee over millions of dollars, and not once has my integrity ever come into question. I want to also mention that today, the sheriff's office morale is at the highest, and today, the crime rate, the violent crime rate in this county is one of the lowest, and your county, Hidalgo County, is one of the safest counties in the state of Texas. Thank you very much.
I know the sheriff is want to bring family issues or whatever he chose to do so now. That's on him. We got a county of over 1 million people that require the sheriff to be the top law enforcement officer, requires them to lead this agency to provide better services. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what I'm working forward to. Integrity. I don't use public funds. I've ran my own business. Nobody's ever questioned. Nobody's ever questioned what I've done. You could come and say, and mudslinging, that's mudslinging. But when you present facts, information that's in black and white, signatures, checks, those are facts. That's not mudslinging. My job is to keep you safe, and that's what I'm working towards. That's what I want to lead the men and women in the sheriff's office. I'm talking about not just home invasions. I'm talking about animal cruelty. I'm talking about burglaries, thefts, robberies, auto thefts, scams that are going on. And we need a sheriff to lead the men and women in the sheriff's office, to aid the other 22 police departments, to do a better job, provide the citizens of Hidalgo County better service. And that's what Frank Guerrero is going to do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Tell us about yourself.
Hello, good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank McAllen Citizen League for having this very important forum and for inviting us all to be here. I think it's incredibly important, and it's a way for everybody to get to know who we are. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lidia Elizondo. I'm born and raised in Huastepec, Texas. I come from a very big and very loving family. I'm number 5 of 6 children, and it was an amazing upbringing. I'm very lucky. I still have both my parents, so it's a huge blessing. Like I said, born and raised in Huastepec. I've lived in Edinburgh and McAllen my adult life, except for my short time in San Antonio where I attended St. Mary's University School of Law. Before that, I lived in Edinburgh where I attended UTPA, now known as UTRGV, where I received a Bachelor's of Art in English. I was a school teacher actually before I became an attorney. And so I've been very blessed to be able to fulfill both my dream of being a teacher and my dream of being an attorney. During my time as a teacher and in my more than 25 years as an attorney, I have gotten an opportunity to meet a lot of people in the community, parents, clients, just everybody from all walks of life. And one of the things that my conversations with them and the things that they want is they want to be able to be proud of where they live. And generally we are, but we're not very proud of County Court at Law Number 7 currently, because it is not a courtroom that's a good one. It's not a fair one, and it's one that is riddled with corruption. And I represent the change that we need to bring to that court so that it is one about which we can be proud. Thank you.
I have a follow-up. First, let's hear from Mr. Valdez, the incumbent.
Let me just tell you that I've been your judge of County Court of Law Number 7 for the past 12 years. And people ask me, what have you done on the bench for 12 years? Well, the Office of Court Administration that keeps count on cases over the past 12 years that I've been on the bench says that I am the judge who disposes of the most cases and has the fewest cases pending, because we run an efficient court, we start on time, and we make decisions. I've been the presiding judge for all the county courts for the past 4 years. That tells you that all my colleagues, all 10 county court of law judges, have selected me to lead them pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. I run the indigent defense program along with our county judge, our county commissioners, the sheriff, and then to ensure that anybody who needs an attorney does not remain in jail longer than they need to. I'm on the bail bond board, where I work with our county clerk, Arturo Bajardo, our district clerk, Laura Hinojosa, our county judge, Richard Cortez, and our district court judge, Israel Ramon. We make sure that the bail bond system runs efficiently. But most importantly, I run the DWI court program, 150 individuals. The DWI court team is back there. Thank you for being here, guys. Appreciate you guys being here, taking time, your personal time to be here in support of the program and of me. 150 individuals who seek counseling, zero tolerance program. Recidivism rate for that program is 2%, whereas the regular recidivism rate is 28%. That's a lot of or a few of the things that I've accomplished. I'll talk about my military experience and my family life later. Thank you.
Mr. Elizondo, you said that he runs a corrupt court. The County Court at Law Number 7 is a corrupt court. Number one, could you tell us what that corruption is? And number two, if it's a violation of the law, have you reported it to the proper authorities?
My opponent talks about the DWI court, and he talks about the Office of Court Administration. He boasts about his numbers and that the Office of Court Administration indicates that he has fewer cases pending than the other courts. And I submit to you that it's because of the following. When there are court-appointed attorneys, those cases are supposed to land randomly. If court-appointed attorneys who are not his friends or political contributors and their cases land in County Court of Law Number 7, those individuals are removed, and attorneys who are his friends and court-appointed and political contributors, those people are then appointed to represent the individuals who are charged with crimes, and then those cases are forced through with pleas of guilty, so that those cases are taken off of his docket. And that's often done all within the same hour. An attorney is appointed, and they plead a person out without having an opportunity to actually look at any of the evidence in the case. That is why numbers are low in that court.
You're saying he is appointing his friends or associates to represent these folks who can't afford, I assume they can't afford to hire their own lawyer?
That is correct.
Is that against the law? Who do you tell about that?
So Equal Access to Justice is a program where there are funds that are given to the county to use to appoint attorneys to represent indigent individuals, and our funds are at risk when those funds are not, or when the people are not appointed randomly. There's something called a wheel, and it's through the Indigent Defense Program, and people are supposed to be appointed randomly, and sometimes initially they are, but then on the day that they appear in court, the doors are locked, those court-appointed attorneys are forced to stand outside, a group of his friends and political contributors are inside the courtroom, and those are the attorneys who are now reassigned to the individuals in that courtroom, who are there for their court hearings.
Mr. Valdez, I'm sure you have something to say about it.
You know,
Please address the charge, I suppose, if you lock the courtroom doors, because my understanding is that's...
Rankin, let's talk about the facts, and let's not talk about fiction. I'm in charge of the Indigent Defense Program, ladies and gentlemen. We make sure that every indigent defendant has a court-appointed attorney. There is a system, and in fact, the Indigent Defense Commission from Austin came and randomly conducted an audit of the Hidalgo County Indigent Defense Program and found that there was nothing wrong, that all the county court of law judges, that all the district court judges were in compliance and were following what the Indigent Defense Commission out of Austin requires us to do. So every one of us is in compliance. I monitor weekly the numbers, and the numbers are always in compliance. I work with the other county court of law judges to make sure that we are in compliance, we remain in compliance, and that everybody is abiding. You know, Rankin, if you show up on Wednesday morning, and if you've ever been a part of any rehabilitation program, and the ladies and gentlemen in the back, my DWI court team, or the county's DWI court team, it's a counseling session. And if you know anything about HIPAA, if it's counseling, the courtroom must be closed pursuant to HIPAA regulations between 7 and 8, because we start at 6:30. I'm there at 6:30. We start from 7 to 8 to provide counseling to help keep the community safe. Start docket at 8:30 every day. Show up, and we're going to move our docket.
Let me ask a follow-up. How do you get to be an indigent defense lawyer? Because you're paid in by the county. How does a lawyer get on that list?
Is that for me, Rankin?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's real simple. The county has two types of attorneys that represent indigent defendants. We've got the public defender's office, and we've got attorneys who subscribe to be on the wheel. They've got to have so many ongoing legal continuing hours in the criminal area. And then it has to have so many trials to move up from the misdemeanor to the felony. So the more cases you try, when I was practicing, was probably the only one in this whole room qualified to represent individuals in death penalty cases. And that, in fact, my last 3 cases, the last 3 of them were death penalty cases. So that's the type of qualification that I have. But there's a system in place. You've got to have certain training and so many trials to move up the wheel.
Ms. Valdez? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Back to you.
Oh, Ms. Elizondo.
Yes,
It's okay.
Sorry.
I would like to. I'd like
You
to.
looked at me like.
I would like to make one clarification. When the Office of Court Administration or the Equal Access to Justice Foundation come to look and see whether or not the courts are in compliance, they do what's called an average. They're not looking to see if each individual judge is doing what they're supposed to be doing. They look at the average of whether or not all the courts are doing it. That is how it was explained to me, and so that is how I'm explaining it to you. In addition, when we talk about the issue of corruption, going back to your initial question, Mr. Rankin, if you do go on a Wednesday morning to the DWI court, you will see that there is a provider of the Guardian Interlock device who is there, but there's only one. There is a long list of providers who are approved to provide those services to each and every person who's charged with DWI and is ordered to have an alcohol monitoring device on either their vehicle or on their cell phone. But there's only one allowed in the courtroom. That in and of itself smells of corruption.
So if you prevail in the election, what are you going to do? How are you going to do it?
The way it's done by the other courts. So there is a list that is provided to an individual who's charged with DWI, and every single provider of mobile alcohol monitoring devices or Guardian Interlock devices is provided to the individual. That individual may then purchase the services and the device from any company that is approved by the county. because all of those people have gone through all of the requirements in order to be an approved vendor with the county. And every approved vendor of the county should be able to provide their services to people charged with DWI, not just the one that happens to be a friend of my opponent.
What's the biggest challenge? We'll go to you first. What do you see as the biggest challenge in being a judge, running a court?
I think one of the biggest challenges is making sure that that it works smoothly, and that people are there, and that their cases work through the system efficiently but expediently. So, unlike my opponent, I'll be there longer than just until 10 o'clock in the morning. I would like to have a courtroom where there's a docket in the morning and a docket in the afternoon. There are some cases that are pending an incredibly long time. And if you show up at 8 o'clock and leave at 10 and spend the rest of your day on the golf course, that's not going to get the job done. What's going to get the job done is being there for a full day, doing the work, and making sure that every single person who has matters pending in the courtroom has those matters heard in an expedient fashion.
Mr.
It's a lot to unpack, Rankin. That's just a lot to unpack. But let me tell you that there are multiple providers in County Court of Law number 7. All the providers are required to have somebody to come in the court. And let me tell you, if you're on a alcohol monitoring device and you fail to blow or you come out positive for alcohol, you're going to find yourself in jail in County Court of Law number 7. That's for all of the safety of all of you and all the community. Let's talk about the appointment system. Every week we get a list. That list is in compliance. And so Indigent Defense Commission monitors everybody all the time. Every week I get a report and I make sure it's in compliance. Let's talk about OCA. And I've got the report back there. For those of you that want to see the report, I've got the report back there that shows the numbers. For those of you that want to see the OCA reports, I have the report back there. I have the numbers. That's not fiction. Those are facts, and the reports are there.
Let's turn to go you first, Mr. Valdez. What are your qualifications in order to be a county court of law judge? You have to have a law degree. So,
are you asking in general what is required, or what is my experience?
What qualifies you to be a county court of law judge?
I practiced for 20 years before I got on the bench, and like I said earlier, I was probably one of only 3 criminal defense attorneys who was qualified to represent individuals facing the death penalty. In fact, the last 3 cases that I tried were all death penalty cases. You can see one of them on a documentary called Half-Ton Killer on TLC. So that tells you about my criminal law experience. Family law experience, I represented many individuals on both sides, males and females, mothers and fathers, who were advocating for their children. I did a lot of that. Civil side of it, I did a lot of civil work in either car accidents, contracts, or death cases. And so, well experienced for 20 years before I got on the bench.
Okay. Ma'am, what qualifies you to be a county court of law judge?
I've been a practicing attorney for over 25 years. During my time as an attorney, I've been very fortunate to be able to practice in different fields. Currently, the bulk of my work is primarily criminal defense, but I have also been a prosecutor. And in the world of civil litigation, I have been both a plaintiff's attorney and a defense attorney. I also have a practice that focuses on business law, one particular area that a lot of people in the Valley don't practice, which is intellectual property, so working with trademarks and copyrights. But in addition to those qualifications and my 25 years as a litigator, I also my integrity has never been called into question, ever. And I have a very, very deep respect for the law, and I follow it.
Okay. It's said, or it's been said, that in Hidalgo County, people who are arrested for drunk driving or driving under the influence are not handled properly. They get off too easily. What's your view of that? Do you agree or disagree? What would be your philosophy of adjudicating or being a judge of one of those cases?
Is that question for me?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
So, DWI is probably one of the worst crimes out there, because you're not just taking your own life into your hands. Your actions could affect numerous people on the road, people who have nothing to do with the fact that you chose to drink and drive. The law is very clear, and it's set out with what it is a judge can and cannot do with regard to somebody charged with DWI for the first time, DWI for a second time, and then when it's a third or more offense. When it becomes a third or more offense, it jumps into the felony range. But when it's in the misdemeanor court, the law is very clear about what a judge can and cannot do. So if and when that would come up, then I would follow the law and very specifically make sure that the people who are brought in before the court for a DWI are punished accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Valdez?
Yeah, Rankin, that's kind of a trick question. A judge cannot take a position on a certain type of case and must deal on every case on a fact basis. You can't say I want to do this for all type of cases, and it's just inappropriate for a judge to do that. I'm currently doing what our county should be doing. I run the DWI court program. It allows for 150 individuals to receive counseling, rehabilitation, and have a recidivism rate of 2%, as opposed to the regular 28%. It works. It keeps our county safe. We're the only county court that will throw you in jail if you are on an alcohol monitoring device as a condition of bond. You will go to jail if you blow positive or fail to blow at the designated time. Any of the providers that are in County Court Law number 7 with an alcohol monitoring device will show up. They will tell us that you have not blown or you blew positive, and you will go to jail for the safety of the community. Thank you.
Well, I guess we'll just do a wrap-up question, or do we have any? Let's do a wrap-up. I'm sorry, do the ending.
We have time for one more question.
One more question. All right. Hang on, we've got it right here. What steps, we'll go first to you, what steps have you taken to address and prevent perceived biases in the courtroom? There's a raft of what people consider to be a bias. What do you
I don't agree with you, Rankin. I mean, you asked that question, want to debate somebody, but, people who want to speculate and just say things are going to say things. You can't stop those people from talking. So I don't agree with you that this perspective or this view of bias is out there. It's not, Rankin, and I disagree with you with all due respect. Look, I start on time. We're efficient. We make rulings. In the judicial system, unfortunately, both sides can't win. And so we just try to start on time, listen to everybody, and make rulings. But with all due respect to Mr. Rankin and everybody here, I disagree with that.
Ma'am? Yes.
So there's been talk about fact and fiction, and I deal strictly with facts. I have facts with me, and if you check out my Facebook page, you will see the facts that are there. It's very easy to find, Lidia Elizondo for judge. You can see, and you can see the people with whom I have been meeting during this entire campaign, and you can see my opponent's Facebook page and see all of the people who are there. With regard to his list that he's talking about for the appointments, but I'm sure that list, he may have it in the back of the room, but it's not going to show the reappointments that have all of his friends listed on there. With regard to perceived bias, I think the way you fight that is by simply being fair and doing things in the appropriate fashion. You appoint people to things like mediators. And instead of appointing the same 5 to 6 people who are your friends, you appoint every single qualified mediator, and you do it on a real basis so that everybody has an opportunity to do it. You also make sure that all of the people who are in the courtroom have an opportunity to purchase services for the mobile alcohol monitoring devices and guardian interlock devices with whomever they choose. You have to be proactive to make sure that we have a return to trust in our court system. We don't have that right now in County Court Law number 7, and we desperately need to return to that.
All right, final statements. First to you, ma'am.
Could you remind me how long we have for the final statement?
1 minute.
Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank McAllen Citizen League for inviting us here and for having this forum so that the citizens of Hidalgo County get to know the candidates a little bit better. As I mentioned, during my time as a teacher And in my 25 years as an attorney, I have met so many wonderful people across this county. I love this county, and I love our people. I love our culture. I love everything about it. What I don't like is what my opponent has done to County Court at Law Number 7. He's made it a place where there is no justice, unless you can pay for it. He's made it a place where it's pay to play. If you're a contributor, you have an opportunity in that courtroom. If you're not, you have no chance. And that's not what justice is about. Justice should be available to everybody, regardless of who you are, regardless of who your attorney is, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of whether or not you made a political contribution to my opponent. Sadly, that's the situation that we have right now in County Court at Law Number 7. I'm the only person who will ever step up to make that change. I represent that change, and I humbly ask for your support and your vote. Thank you.
Sergio Valdez.
You know, Rankin, as I came here today, my wife and daughter, my daughter's in her second year of medical school, the product of the McAllen School Districts, Gonzales Elementary, Kathy, valedictorian at Memorial High School, and double major, summa cum laude at UTRGD, now in her second year of medical school. She said, Dad, don't do it. She says, you don't need to. You're qualified. You're respected in the legal community. You don't need to go there. So I'm not going to go there. I respect for my daughter and my wife. It's unnecessary. We talk about individuals who support me and people on my Facebook. Look, I'm endorsed by the county commissioners, all 4 of them. I'm endorsed by the city of McAllen, our commissioners. I'm endorsed by Edinburgh, Farson 1. And there's some attorneys here who support my campaign. There's attorneys here in McAllen, Danny Gerwitz and the Atlas and Hall support my campaign, even though I've ruled against them. Mike McGurk and Bo Nixon, they support me, even though I've ruled against them. Ray Thomas, Marcos Barrera supports me, even though I've ruled against them. David Oliveira with Rory Oliveira and Fisher. Rick Salinas, Michael Moore. Our former district attorney was in my court the other day on a DWI client. She had a bond violation. I threw her in jail. Sophia Ramon with Ramon Worthington. So all those are individuals. Bob Galligan with Jones Galligan, Kian Lozano out of Westaco. All those attorneys are attorneys who support me, endorse me for County Court Law Number 7, and whom I have ruled against. And so I'm going to respect my daughter's wishes. I'm not going to go there. I will tell you that I will continue being your judge in County Court 7, and thank you to everybody for keeping a positive vibe. Thank you.
All right. Can you share, ma'am, your legal background and how your experiences have prepared you to be a district judge?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you to McAllen Citizen League for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to be here today. My name is Lopez-Singleterry, and I'm not just here as a candidate. I'm someone who's deeply committed to public service and the rule of law. I have already been entrusted to serve as your judge, as an associate judge for Hidalgo County, Jim Hall County, and Starr County. I've also been entrusted to serve as the judge for the city of San Juan. My dedication has been a lifelong journey. I started in La Jolla, Texas, the proud daughter of 2 immigrant parents that came here with a 3rd grade education, but they instilled in me the value of hard work and an education. I was a migrant worker who became a teacher, who became an attorney, and became a judge. My vast experience litigating and presiding over thousands of cases, civil, criminal, and family law cases, is what gives me this background to be able to serve you at a higher level now as your judge of the 476. I have served you with integrity, I have served you with respect, and most of all, I have served you with a work ethic that is unmatched for. And that's why I am your best candidate and the only candidate here qualified to be your next judge of the 476 District Court. Thank you.
And Mr. Contreras.
Thank you, Mr. Rankin. My name is Jesse Contreras, and I want to thank as well the McAllen Chamber of Commerce, also the McAllen Citizens League, for having us. I've been practicing law now going on 29 years, and during those 29 years, I've been a municipal judge for 10 years in the city of Mercedes, and I've been a state judge for the 449th, which is the juvenile court. And I was there for 8 years, 2 terms. But what I feel that is more important for me as far as what I am and what I stand for is being raised by a single mom, Alicia Contreras. She's my hero. I don't know my dad. So I was raised quite poor, just like many of them. We worked in the fields as well. And so, you know, we have such success stories here in the Valley. That's what I like. When I was a juvenile judge, I heard stories from, and the kids that are doing now, they're going to college, some of the kids that were before me. And so I'm very proud of the fact that in this county, we have individuals like myself that we progress forward and do great things in our lives. If you look where I started from, it was like, wow. And where I am now, it's been a blessing. And I'm a born-again Christian as well. I attend Baptist Temple with my wife, and I want to thank my wife for filming this today. And along with our kids, we have 3 kids as well. And that is who Jesse Contreras is. Simple. What you see is what you get. Thank you.
Ask you a question, and I guess if you want to comment after that, that'd be fine. District courts often handle a wide variety of cases, but what's the difference between a district court and a county court? You first, please.
Okay, no problem. Well, the difference is that county court law cases are the misdemeanor cases. The district courts are the highest trial courts in Texas, and they handle property issues, personal injury cases that beyond $1 million and so forth. Again, misdemeanor cases are more, county court law cases are more, they hear more misdemeanor cases. And they do divorces as well. But it's a higher court, if you want to say, above the county court of law. That is district court. There's 478 district court cases throughout the county, and that's what they handle. Higher felony cases and also personal and property issues as well.
Ma'am, is that how you would define things? That's how you would explain the difference between a district court and a county court?
Yes, so a district court is a court of general jurisdiction that handles felony cases, family law cases, and civil. The distinction is that in the misdemeanor courts, they are handling misdemeanors with a year's sentence up to 2 years. Obviously, the district courts handle felonies, which is more than 2 years. It also, there's a difference between the values on the family cases and the civil cases. They are assigned randomly on the selection. The 476 is the court that was created for that purpose. There's a backlog of cases right now, and it's created to make sure that those cases are disposed properly, but the distinction is the level of sentences on the criminal cases and the level of the money amounts on the family and the civil cases.
I haven't heard it in a while, but I did hear it a lot before a while, that if a lawyer needs a judge's attention, say you need an order for people getting divorced or whatever, go to the courthouse on a Friday afternoon and there ain't nobody there to sign the order. Is that true? Are you gonna work a 5-day week?
Is that for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when I was the associate judge that I was entrusted with that position, every Friday I was either in Jim Hop County, which meant I had to leave my house at 5:30 in the morning. I was there all day. Or I was in Stark County every Friday, which meant I had to leave my house at 6 p.m. I have always been known to work very hard. I'm always at the courthouse at 7:30 in the morning. I am not those judges that come in late. My work ethic is to always be there early. If I'm on time, I am late. You will never see me walking late anywhere. You will never see me walking late to a forum or anything like that because my work ethic is strong. So no, for me, absolutely not. I have always been known to work very hard, to be there early, and also as the associate judge for the 5th region, I was the one, our team down here with the highest cases disposed and the higher collections for our children. We were able to collect thousands of dollars for all our children in child support, and we always led our region, the 5th region.
You, sir?
Can you repeat the question, Mr. Rankin?
No, I can't.
You said that you're basically saying, Rankin, that there's a problem on Fridays that you'll see the judges.
The judges are not working. Lawyers have told me they go there and they can't find somebody to sign an emergency order. They need somebody whose life is on the line, but they can't find it.
And the direct answer to that question is that there is a problem, Mr. Rankin, and we as I say judges, we got to get together and work through that problem. I think there is, like you mentioned, Fridays you'll see 1 or 2 judges there. I mean, I'm going to admit that. I'm not going to protect anybody out there. But we need to work on that. If elected, we need to get together with Board of Judges and get this thing done.
Is there any higher authority, before I go, is there any higher authority who can compel a district judge to be there on a Friday afternoon?
At this moment, right now, there's, you have the presiding judge, which is Judge Noe Gonzalez. Perhaps he can implement certain criteria, certain things to implement that 5-day work day instead of 4 days. But it's got to be a consensus between all the judges, county court of law and district judges.
And what do you think? If you have anything you want to comment?
I would just like to add that, when we are elected to these positions, it's up to us. That's why the voters are very important here, that you're here in these forums and that you ask the hard questions and that you know who you're electing there. For me, it has never been an issue. I can tell you right now, it has never been an issue. No one has ever compelled me. I do have to state this, we're here, we have to be honest. My opponent has been compelled to do a lot of things. One of those things is to comply. We heard earlier from the two judges that there was a commission that had to be established on the system to appoint attorneys. That came about my opponent reckless handling of the cases, of him appointing cases to his personal friends, 3 personal friends receiving thousands of dollars on those cases, not using the public defender's office, and then those same attorneys representing him on lawsuits. So I think it's very important that when you elect someone, it's not someone that needs to be compelled to do something.
One follow-up. The lawyers who have represented him in personal cases, is that illegal or a violation of bar ethics or the ethics of a district judge?
It was not only a violation of practices, it led Hidalgo County to be the funding to be placed on suspension. We lost our funding at that time because, yes, it is unethical, and it cast at a black cloud on Hidalgo County that the funding that was allotted to Hidalgo County, the $650,000 a year, was abated due to his reckless actions. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You want me to play?
Yeah,
of course.
Sorry.
There she goes again. She ran for county court of law. Court of Appeals? Yes. Court of Appeals about 2 years ago. Ran for DA about a year and a half ago. And now running for this. So she doesn't know what she wants. I think what she wants is a title. That's what she wants. Just like her husband, district judge. To begin with, you're being petty again, David. Petty again. Those things occurred 16 years ago, and you're completely misconstruing the facts of what happened, ma'am. And I really, really disappointed in you for being petty again. Of course, you're going to bring out 16 years ago that I was arrested for DWI. I can see her all over your pad there. I don't know why you need a pad after running 3 races. You should know what you want to say, what you want to do. Jessica Contreras, wants to be a fair judge, an impartial judge for all the people. Not only certain people, but all of them.
Let me follow up with a question about the driving while intoxicated charge. Can you explain the circumstances and has your life changed since then?
Mr. Rankin, it was 16 years ago. What am I today? What am I? I'm a father. That's what I am. And I'm going to continue to be a good father. I'm a husband, my mom, I'm a son. What happened 16 years ago, and it's just petty for her to bring it out. But I am a different person today, no doubt about it. And you learn from your mistakes. I mean, that's what we go in life and make mistakes. And it was a bad mistake in my life. And I went forward, and I've been sober ever since.
He's saying that was then and this is now. What do you say?
One of the things that we learn is that we must learn from history. And if we don't learn from history, it will repeat itself. And that's what we have here. History continuing to repeat itself. Someone can make a mistake, but we hold our elected officials to a higher standard. He was arrested as a sitting judge twice. He got our county to almost be defunded by giving money to his friends. That was not 16 years ago. He chased down 2 litigants that went before his court, 2 councilmen that went before his court for him to hear him, and he chased them down the expressway. He talks about me running. This is the third time I run. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I will continue to run to stand up for you. I ran for the district attorney's office because I knew that office could not be handed out to family members. I ran for Court of Appeals, and you know what? Hidalgo County gave me 163,000 votes. The voters of Hidalgo County chose me. This is the 4th time. He has been voted out of office, ladies and gentlemen. I have never been voted out of office. If you want the same history of Black Cloud, someone that keeps on doing the same mistakes, he's your candidate.
I don't know how good licensed lawyers are on that. If you all would not do that, we can get out of here on time. I don't have any licensed lawyers there are in Hidalgo County, but I don't think the bar's that big. And
Well, let me
if
go
you
ahead and rebut her accusations again.
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I mean, she wants to be petty. Let's talk about her current events. Massacre. She says associate judge. She was a massacre judge out of County Court number 1. You know, and you were either going to be fired or you resign because you were taking pictures of Cancun, having a great time, and billing the state of Texas at the same time. You got caught. They gave you an ultimatum: either get fired or resign. Of course, you resigned. You misconstrued also the other facts that you stated. I deny your allegations, ma'am, the way you stated it here. Was I arrested? Yes, I was arrested. 16 years ago, ma'am.
Can I respond, please?
Were you at Cancun? Got your picture taken? And
I'm going to respond to this. I have facts. The voters can come to us. We have facts of the things that he has done. He's saying that I was in Cancun. Absolutely, all of us have the right to vacation with our families during our own time. It was on Thanksgiving time. I was there with my husband. He was at the beach, the family man, getting arrested and drunk with a 21-year-old. I was with my family. Thanksgiving, yes, with my husband. Not during working hours. No, sir. And if he can prove to you that I was there, he could have brought it all here today. I'm an attorney, I'm a judge. I work based on evidence. Evidence is here. Everything that he has done, I have evidence to prove it up. You see nothing there but rumors and bluffing. That's not someone who is prepared. Show us the evidence. That's how we work at the courthouse, and that's what I expect of a judge.
About the 13th Court of Appeals, cases can be appealed from a district court to a court of appeals. Our 13th Court of Appeals is a big territory, and they see some of the cases here, others in Corpus Christi. There have been attempts in the past to cut that appeals court district in half so that it would be South Texas and the Valley would be one appeals court, and then everything in Corpus and North. I don't think they tried it this last time, but it's not going to go away. Do you favor that, or do you just want to keep it whole the way it is now?
Yes, when I ran for the Court of Appeals, that is 20 counties. I campaigned every single one of those counties, every single day. You saw me in all those counties. I do favor for them to be split. I did win all of Hidalgo County, all of Cameron County, all of Willacy County, and other counties. I believe it's a very large area. We need someone to represent us. So I really do favor from that area of those 20 counties to be split so that we can have actual representation of judges that know our needs and are able to bring that. So I do favor that.
You, sir?
I favor the same thing, Mr. Rankin. It should be a split. I think local judges at that level, Court of Appeals, will, understanding the Hidalgo, Cameron, and perhaps Willacy County and Starr County, that would be a certain breakup or makeup of this Court of Appeals rather than all the way to Houston. We have Victoria County and so forth. And I think that type of representation is just different up there than the Valley and Cameron County and so forth. So again, I do favor the split as well.
One more question, and then we'll take final remarks. I'm sure you've heard it said that if you go before Judge A, you need lawyer B because they're buds. And sometimes that lawyer is listed on the paperwork, and then sometimes they hire people who are not listed but are still friends of the judge. Is that true? Is that good?
Well, for me, as your judge, it didn't matter who represented you. We are held to a higher standard. For me, is upholding the rule of law. I have never done that as a judge. When I go into the courtrooms, I've never had that experience because I am always prepared. In my over 15 years of experience as an attorney, I always walk in, I'm prepared, so I don't have to deal with that. And like I said, my opponent did. He had his 3 friends, only 3 attorneys. And that's in an article, that was an investigation that was brought up by the Owls, a group that we have down here, where it was only those 3 attorneys making $200,000, $150,000, and $170,000. When we had a public defenders, I was a public defender. I was very proud to be a public defender. That office is being funded by all of your taxpayers' money. That office full of great attorneys was not being used. Your taxpayers' monies were not being used. It was going to his friends to represent him in a lawsuit that where he was being sued.
You, sir?
Never got sued, by the way. Never got sued. I don't know what she's talking about. But anyway, going back to what you said, there is corruption to that extent. There are judges out there, and we'll see this. This is something else. They do that. I'm not going to, not say it here, but there's a type of corruption going on. When you know that a certain lawyer is hired, and I've been a victim of certain circumstances like that. I remember the 275th, there was a judge there that I got a certain judgment on a civil case, and they hired a certain person that was related to had a good relationship with that judge. They overturned my judgment, but it happens, Mr. Rankin. It shouldn't happen, but it happens.
It's 12:58. I have one more question just occurred to me before we get final remarks. When people come before a judge at the courthouse and they don't speak English, is it required that a translator be provided, a certified translator, however that's done, or do you just go grab somebody who's bilingual? A lot of us are bilingual. What do you think, Mr. Contreras? What's the situation?
In what circumstances? It's a broad question. You mean whether we accommodate that individual?
Yeah, how do you handle somebody who shows up, maybe it's a court hearing about taking away his children, and he doesn't speak English, so he doesn't know what's going on? Do we have to provide him a translator, or should we provide him a translator?
There should be a translator, and there's always this. Either the bailiff is a translator of that court, or they have a coordinator that translates. Okay. They get certain stipends for that as well. So we do have individuals translating for persons that come in, especially pro se litigants that don't have a lawyer. We definitely provide a translator.
Ma'am, any comment?
Yes. So he's incorrect. So the law does provide for an individual that's facing incarceration, then we do provide an interpreter. That is required by law. However, an individual that's there on a family case, a civil case, the law does not require for the courts to provide an interpreter. So most of the times, a lot of the courts have interpreters that are hired as their bailiffs. So every time they do see a criminal defendant up there, they will be, we do have to provide interpretation, but not to the family and civil cases.
For 21 years that I've been practicing law, that's what's occurring. Whether it's proper or not, it's been occurring, Mr. Rankin, as far as allowing the bailiff or the coordinator to interpret the proceedings.
All right, finally, and in conclusion, concluding remarks, we'll go first to you, ma'am. Go for it.
I just want to thank everyone, McAllen Citizen League and the Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to be here. Our voter needs to be informed. The power of your vote is very valuable, and we cannot just give the vote to someone that we're not informed about. I, Nida Lopez-Singleterry, have already been entrusted to serve you as your judge. I, Nida Lopez-Singleterry, have served you with integrity and respect. My vast experience litigating and presiding over thousands of civil, family, and criminal cases has been impeccable. My work ethic is impeccable, and also my integrity. That is what the court of the 476 needs. We cannot go back, ladies and gentlemen, to those that cast black powder in Hidalgo County. We need a vote of progress, and that's what I bring to you. Someone who's going to respect you the day that you walk into the courtroom and going to treat everybody, regardless of your gender, your socioeconomic background, treat you with respect and deliver justice. Thank you very much.
And Jessica Contreras, thank you for the class. What can I say to you guys? I'm born and raised here in the Valley in Hidalgo County, raised in the Colonia, Heidelberg. Coming here before you guys is quite different for me. I'm more in touch with certain communities, such as the Colonians, such as people out there. But I will be fair and impartial to every single one of you guys, especially the needs of those who come before me that are poor and need that extra attention, because some of the judges are quick to judge and throw the book at these individuals that don't have any lawyers and so forth. I'm here to be fair and impartial at all times, and that's what I'm going to do. Allegations that this young lady has mentioned against me about a lawsuit, she's misconstruing the facts. The fact is that this young lady, a friend of mine, they went out together most recently, and you know who that individual is. We have text messages as well if you want to provide them. And I don't appreciate you telling me about 16 years ago, so being so petty. But I will present those text messages that you and this individual, a mayor at the time, that you guys got together and so forth. And we have that, and we'll make it public as well. But anyway, thank you for this time, and God bless.
Are you saying that she's running around on her husband? Is that what you're saying?
The thing is that she mentioned 16 years ago that I was with a woman, a 21-year-old woman. I mean, what is she doing now? And she was, about a year and a half ago, with a mayor, a good friend of mine. Lucky for the mayor that the husband got a hold of it, or the wife got a hold of those text messages and ended everything. If you want the text messages, I can provide you the text messages. We have those text messages.
Are you unfaithful?
Of course not. And I am so disappointed that we have a candidate that doesn't bring you evidence, that brings you rumors. I am going to hold him to the test and want him. My husband is here. I've been married to my husband. We have 2 wonderful children, Natalia 8, Alexander 5. You have never seen me in a newspaper. You will never see me in a newspaper. You will never see me behind bars like he was. You will never see me offend someone else like he has offended or try to offend me right now. Absolutely not, sir. If he knows who that individual is, I am going to challenge him in front of all of you to bring that individual forward. Because to me, when somebody brings an allegation, I have evidence. He says, I have not been sued by the bank. District judge sued. District judge arrested for 2 DWIs. I'm going to leave all these articles, all this investigation. This is not me saying bluffing and bringing up rumors. This is hard evidence of someone investigated, someone that all of you voted off the bench. We cannot have someone like that on the bench again. No, sir.
We'll draw this to a conclusion because thank you very much for being here.
We want to thank all the candidates who participated in today's forum. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. Early voting starts February 20th.